The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is in charge of this investigation. They say this may be part of a planned abduction involving forged supervision documents. Firefighters say they desperately tried to save this home. It's become unrecognizable. Behind me looks like this was the garage area, and as we step closer to where the entrance of the home was, let's get a little closer and show you the space. You can see I can barely fit inside. Border Patrol agents tell me that this is how the people who built this ventilate the tunnel. But really right now I'm doing something police are advising women in this area to avoid at all costs, and that's walking down the street alone late at night. And I can tell you the father, Hector, was just so happy to hand his phone over to his son, Harley. Harley was the one on that bus, and he was sitting next to the emergency window of all places, and tells me he was the first one out. A night out on the town and a fight breaks out outside a bar. Before police arrive, and if it concerns the business, bouncers and security guards are supposed to be the protectors.
It's not an easy job.
Supposed to be state licensed and trained to keep their cool, to keep people safe.
I've been shot twice, I've been stabbed.
But what happens when they become part of the problem?
Probably 70 to 75% are not licensed properly.
Robert Smith is a former San Diego police detective and the CEO of Nightclub Security Consultants.
There are so many people that want to undercut the system.
In the state of California, nearly everyone working to provide security needs to be licensed. Robert says many of those people, as well as employers, think it's perfectly okay just to have this. It's a guard card, pretty much a golden ticket to getting a job. The problem is experts we spoke to say guards are getting the card after completing only a fraction of the training.
It's an underground industry, the unlicensed activity.
Roy Ron is the executive director of the California Association of Licensed Security Agencies, Guards and Associates.
These employers are hiring people who aren't trained, aren't licensed, and they're giving them security responsibilities in these bars and restaurants.
NBC 7 Investigates wanted to get information from the source, from bouncers themselves. We visited the Gas Lamp and North Park, home to some of the most popular bars in the county. What do you think of the guard card?
Be honest with you, it's not even appropriate for what we do.
When I initially got my guard card training, it was supposed to be 40 hours, but I only received 6.
Stephen Smith has been the head of security for some of downtown San Diego's top bars. He said he made it a point to get properly trained, completing more job-specific training on top of the 6 hours he received to get his guard card. He says in his line of work, you need it.
I've seen fights break out because, oh, I didn't like your haircut.
So we have a bouncer at a bar that applied deadly force to my son.
Carlsbad resident Mark Gerard Sr. lost his son in December. The 27-year-old got into a fight with Firewater Saloon bouncer Derek Belzer, who struck Gerard Jr.'s head. Belzer was arrested and charged for involuntary manslaughter. He pleaded not guilty.
He was out having a good time with his friends and ran into somebody that probably shouldn't have been in the position he was in.
Good afternoon, calling page C, Derek Belzer.
NBC 7 Investigates found Belzer was not licensed to be a security officer in California and has a criminal history.
That's a huge problem, and there's no way to fix it other than legislation.
Who is doing the security? That really doesn't make any sense to me or my family.
Brianna? After weeks of emails,
Brianna with NBC 7
and requests for an interview,
the charity says the money is gone.
NBC 7 Investigates got a chance to ask Brianna King the one question the family she's impacted want answered.
Where's the money? Can you freeze? Where's the money?
This is the first time the ex-CEO and president of local childhood cancer charity Wish Warriors has appeared in court to answer to criminal charges linked to donation money her former board members say is, quote, gone, used by Brianna for her own personal desires.
We will enter a not guilty plea, deny the allegations.
In court, King pleaded not guilty to charges. She stole donation money meant for 13-year-old Casey Harvey and 12-year-old Maddie Taylor. Both girls are battling serious forms of childhood cancer.
Some people just, I don't have words to explain. It's just all emotion.
That's Maddie Taylor on July 10th, reacting to when her family first learned the money raised for them was reportedly squandered.
Do you have anything to say to the Harveys? Anything to say to the Taylor family?
To date, none of the cancer patients have received any money from this charity golf tournament.
The families affected by Wish Warriors say King's promise to help initially gave them hope and meaning. Two powerful things when you're fighting a battle this tough. They say if the allegations are true, she took far more from them than money. There are more than 44,000 Vietnamese people in San Diego. They make up the second largest Asian population in the county, and each one can likely tell you about that night 40 years ago when their family escaped their war-torn country on a plane or boat to start a new life. During what's called the Fall of Saigon, some came here to City Heights, specifically to a stretch of several blocks now known as Little Saigon. One way they share their experiences is through their food.
My dad opened this place in 1984. My mom took a gamble back in 1985.
Don't worry, we'll get to the pho. But first, the banh mi. Saigon Sandwiches on University in Marlborough specializes in the Vietnamese sandwich that is rich in history.
When the French came over in Vietnam, they taught most of the people how to make the baguette, the bread, the cold cut.
The baguette, the pâté, French. The carrots, the daikon, Vietnamese. Talk about fusion. This sandwich is what gave Tuet Nguyen and her children a life in San Diego.
I say thank you. Party and customer.
If you head over a street to El Cajon Boulevard, Hoa Huay will show you a bolder, spicier side of Vietnamese cuisine.
Hue is the city, and Hue loosely translates to nostalgic.
What do we eat?
Everything.
Everything.
This is food that Hip Dip's family serves to remember where they're from. Hue, located in central Vietnam.
We're known for bún bò Hue,
which is a beef noodle soup that explodes with lemongrass and chili flavors. A dish fit for royalty that actually started as peasant food.
It was people that just cooked for the kings and queens, and then they served it to them one day, and it became a popular dish that Hue is known for.
And is now what the Dip family is known for.
We speak through our food. The culture that we have is spoken through our cuisine.
People from all over San Diego have told me to try the pho at Pho Hoa, and they include firefighters, police officers, cameramen. And here's a quick tip. If someone from those jobs tell you to eat somewhere, just do it. The place is pretty good. That broth. Oh my God.
That's what we kind of hang our hat on here.
Pho, the most popular Vietnamese dish in the U.S., is very simple, really. A marriage of rice noodles, beef, fresh vegetables on the side, all swimming in a glorious broth. At Pho Hoa, a broth that An Cao and his father have been waking up at 4 a.m. every morning since 1984 to perfect.
I grew up here inside the restaurant, and the neighborhood has always been a launching pad for immigrants.
Which is true, and there are also these people who stay and help others realize Vietnamese food is more than noodle soups. It's how a family made a name for themselves in a new world.
I come here happy.
It's how another feels connected to the one they lost.
It reminds us of who we are.
Well, Mark, Jamie Lynn Knighton met Matthew Jackson for maybe 5 minutes at this Trader Joe's in Oceanside, but it's what happened after that that she says shook her to her core and then compelled her to share this story of this pay-it-forward angel.
He just wasn't having it.
Every parent knows when you have kids, there's no such thing as a simple trip to the store.
By the time we got to the checkout, I was done.
On November 10th, Jamie Lynn Knighton was at this Trader Joe's on Vista Way. With a 5-month-old in her arms and a line behind her, her card declined due to an anti-fraud lock.
May I look at it? Yes. May I take care of your groceries?
The young man was a stranger who had just offered to pay her more than $200 grocery bill. He wanted one thing in return.
As long as you promise to do it for somebody else.
Days passed, and Knighton couldn't stop thinking about that man who she later learned was 28-year-old Matthew Jackson from Oceanside. He mentioned he worked at LA Fitness, so she called and told the manager what an amazing person they had on staff.
And that's when, she just started crying.
She said it was Matt, and my heart just dropped because he had just passed away. It broke my heart. Just broke it because what a beautiful person.
Less than 24 hours after Jackson's good deed, he was killed in a car accident. His car with 2 other people in it veered off the road and hit a tree.
I'm a pretty faithful person.
Having faith that Jackson's death wasn't in vain, Knighton wrote this Facebook post commemorating her pay-it-forward angel. His family members replied, telling her about the service they had for him, the impact he had on them, and the uncanny moments they experienced the week of his death.
She brings me a blank receipt, and I'm like, what? And she said, someone just paid for your whole table.
I met him for a reason. He was there for a reason.
Knighton believes that reason may be to share his story and remind people to be kind no matter what.
Life is sacred. Mm-hmm. It is so sensitive, but it's sacred.
Because you never know what tomorrow may bring. And Knighton says efforts are underway to further honor the young man's legacy, and that includes encouraging more people to pay it forward. Live in Oceanside, Candice Nguyen, NBC 7.
All right. Love the story, Candice. Thanks.
Absolutely.